All right, welcome back to Air Job Boss. Today is a continuation of our pilot interview question and answer series, and today I'm going to go over one of the big negatives, which is check ride failures. It's not uncommon that applicants have some sort of check ride failure or training failure in their past, and the companies obviously have to vet their applicants and make sure their applicants are well qualified and suited to complete the training that they will soon go to if they're hired by that company. So let's go over basic components of your answer. Basically, you're going to make sure you disclose every check ride failure, every training failure that has occurred in your experience. If you do not disclose something and they actually find it during a background check, it's likely they will terminate you. So no matter how small the incident was, or how far back it was, or that there's not a paper trail, it is in your best interest and everybody's best interest to disclose it. That is number one. Now, in addition to the disclosure, sometimes there's documentation that supports the failure, meaning there's a critique and some sort of paperwork given, and then a follow-up, the recheck, you might have paperwork as well. Bring those two things to the interview. It may not be needed, but in case it is, at least you have it, and it is kind of elevates your level of integrity and your level of disclosure by having something that's actually written proof of it. Okay. Second thing is you're just going to simply tell the story. You're going to tell the story of what happened and why exactly you failed, right? Then you're going to take responsibility for the failure, saying, I would have failed me too, or it was totally my fault, or it was a mistake I made, blah, blah, blah. Taking responsibility is very important because that provides the next step, which is putting a system in place or a cure to your own preparation that assures them that a failure won't happen when you show up onto their property, yeah? And that's the last component, is verbally reassuring them that when you show up, you're going to pass all their training, because airlines vet through their assessment process whether or not you can achieve and pass the training. It is not uncommon that they have trouble with people not completing training. So this is one of the main things they're looking for. Now, I just want to tell you something about this question. When they ask you about failures or big negative items, this is your best opportunity to show them your personality and how you handle difficult situations, which is a hallmark and a core competency of a professional of any kind, able to understand their failures, take responsibility, and move on from those failures. So I'm going to make up an answer here, and I'm just off the top of my head. We'll deal with holding, we'll deal with an instrument check ride, and busting due to bad holding procedure. Okay, so the question is, Mr. Applicant, I see that you failed your instrument check ride back in 2019. Could you please explain what happened? Yes, I was getting my instrument check ride. I was in a 172. I had a designated examiner for the FA. This was in Blythe, California, and I thought I was pretty well prepared. But I did in fact fail it. It was an FA check ride. It is actually, I do have the documentation. It's right here from my airman file on fa.gov. But basically, I thought I was really well prepared. I was doing non-precision approaches and basic attitude instrument stuff during the check ride. And then I was in an ILS, flying an ILS approach, and I had to go missed approach. It was part of the missed approach procedure. And the holding pattern on the missed approach was very close to the missed approach point, and I didn't really have time to work out proper holding procedures. So I've got to admit, when I hit the holding fix, I was confused as to the entry. I turned at what was a best guess to the entry, and it turns out I turned on the non-holding side on a non-standard holding procedure, and the examiner said I had entered the hold wrong and that I had not stayed within the holding protected airspace, and that the check ride would be discontinued and I'd have to come back and do that portion again. I wish I was better prepared. I thought I had a good understanding of holding, but apparently I did not. It was completely my fault, and he was right to not continue the check ride and to have me go back and study and demonstrate this again at a future date. which a few days later, after a lot of studying on the ground, I went back up and I actually was successful in the recheck and now have a much better understanding of holding as a result of that. One of the systems I've put in place for myself is to walk through the check ride in each training event like the day in advance and go through the syllabus. And I pick out the 3 most difficult areas where I feel I might be deficient. And I then apply myself to studying those areas that I've identified more carefully. And as I move forward throughout my training with this process in place, I've had success after success on all other check rides. So I want you to be reassured that I apply this technique all the time. It's something that I look forward to applying when I come to the ground schools and the flight training that you have here at this airline. And I will dedicate myself 100% to the training. And I have no doubts that I'll be enjoy it and be successful in your training. Okay, do you see how that kind of hit that flow, hit those things? Disclose, tell the story, take responsibility, tell them of a system or a cure you put in place, and then reassure them, okay? Now, if you do have a big negative like this, if you have multiple failures or one failure, of course, it has a more impact of negativity if there's many failures or if they were close in date, meaning not so far back in the past. So my recommendation, if you have a significant negative event in your history, you really should be getting one-on-one preparation by a professional prior to the interview, because getting this answer is going to be very important. They're going to listen very, very closely to this type of explanation, okay? You can do so by clicking the link below at airjobboss.com. I provide one-on-one interview preparation services, and there's actually an email address down there if you want to ask me any questions in advance to purchasing this service. I would be happy to do so. Thank you so much for joining Air Job Boss today. Please subscribe, like, and share this video if you find it was helpful, and I look forward to seeing you on our next video.